Hi everybody, welcome back. I am going to show you how I put together one type of journal cover or the binding. I've got two signatures in this journal and I've already done one. So this was the main signature right here. This was the back. This is the front. So this was the signature. And so then what I do is I take a plain sheet of cardstock like this, fold it in half, okay, and I nestle that. I'm going to nestle it inside this cardstock. I want to leave the outside white, because you'll see in a minute, but the inside, we need to put something that will go with your signature. So I just printed off another page, okay, and these pages are inside the signature, but I've got a piece of tape down here so I can try to make sure that I'm in screen, trying not to get off screen. So what I do is I cut it in half, 5.5, and then cut like another 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch in the middle. I just cut a sliver off each side in the middle, because you're going to glue this one on this side, and this one's going to go over here on this side. And you want just a sliver. You don't want to cover your fold just because of bulk. Okay, so you just want to leave a little bit, just a tiny, just make sure you don't go over the fold. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just go ahead and glue these in. And like I said, I already did the other half. So I'm just going to show you how I did it, so you're not having to watch me go through both of them. And then I'll show you how they get glued together. And I love this type of binding because when you open your journal, it's a lot flatter. Okay, so you just line that up with the top and one edge, glue that down. And I think maybe like on the other one, there's just a sliver over here, and I'm just going to put in my trimmer and trim off that little piece. Hi, Tox. Are you saying hi to everybody? No, you can't get in my lap right now. You know, they always want your attention when you're right in the middle of something. You go say hi. Say hi to everybody. Okay, so... Okay, you could do that with your scissors. Also, just cut off if you're hanging off anywhere. And now we're going to glue this side. And I believe the first person I saw do this type of binding was Bitty Penny. And then she gave credit to Natasha on treasure books, so I went and watched her video, and she makes a ton of books doing this type of binding, and I love it. There's a little more to the process, but I just really like the way the book opens up flat. Okay, so there's those inside pages glued together. Okay, so now what we're going to do is find the middle of this signature, and I want to make sure all my pages are where I want them to be. And this is my April challenge journal that I do with Dear Julie channel. And when I'm done with it, I will do a walkthrough like I usually do every month. So what I do is find the center of this. Okay, and just bind it like this so that the white is on the outside. So you want to make sure your center is good and tight down there in the crease. Okay, and I have this handy dandy pokey tool I got at Paper Ganza last year, and I also have this awl. I usually use this, but it makes a bigger hole. I need to get one that's longer and thinner, and I thought, well, I would try this one, and it works really well. So with this type of binding, because of how we're binding it, you don't have to really measure. This does not have to match the other one. So you just estimate, like I'm poking a hole through the middle, and you want to come up right through the center of your, see that? Come right to the center of your fold. And then you go up here and you go down about an inch and a half from the top. And make another hole, just like that. And it does not have to be exact. Okay, and you do the same on this end. Okay, and then I have this needle, and what I use for binding, it's a blunt end needle. It has a big eye to it. And because I use this wax thread, you can get this from Amazon on a big spool. This lasts forever. I mean, I had one of these that lasts for, I don't know, 3 years or so. So you want to do 3 lengths of your book. 2, 3. That gives you a little extra. And then if you want to leave a little extra room for charms or something like that, you just cut a few inches more. Okay. So we're done with that. I like these big eye needles. Okay, so this is take your thread, and you want to go through the middle first. This is usually how I do it anyway. Go through the middle. And when you leave your string, you want to leave enough string, especially if you're going to put a charm, let it hang down a few inches off. Okay, and you come up to the top. You put your needle through the top, and when you have it folded, it should go right into the middle of your signature, like that. Okay, and then sometimes it gets a little tough, and you might want to have a little pair of pliers or something handy to pull that up with. I have some in my drawer here that I can grab if I need to. Then what I do, some people go back down through the middle and then come up through the bottom and up, but I go all the way down to the bottom, go out through that one, pull the end of your string through, okay? Then you want to go back through the middle again and try not to go through that thread that's already there. So you're coming up the middle, and you want to be on the other side of the string. You can just go under it once you come up, but coming back up is the hardest for me. Okay. Okay, great. So now that you're up through there, you want to make sure that you're tight. out here. If it's loose, go ahead and pull it tight. And you're on either side of this middle string here. So go ahead and pull it tight. And then I usually do 2 or 3 knots. And I do it like a double knot. Go one way one time and one time the other way. And there you go. And so I'm just going to tie it in a bow right now because I don't know which signature. I did this on the other one too, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. Put my charms in. So that's how I bind these. Okay, so now once you have these bound, I think that this is, you want to make sure they're right side up when you go to glue them together. Okay, so here's the magic part. Okay, so see how these are just white here. So what we're going to do is I use my fabric tack for this part. Sorry if anybody heard that. My cat was gacking up out there. You know how they do. Goodness. He has to do it, you know, right in the middle of a video, right? Okay, so now you want to leave about 1 inch on the edge, on the inside edge. And we're going to glue. We're going to put glue all on this part. And you just go down. You don't want to go clear to the edge with this glue because it will ooze out and get on your pages. So, okay, so what I do is I line them up on the bottom like that. And then I really want to make sure that these pages are even. If these pages are even, you're golden, okay? So then I close it and I rub it so that it gets good and glued. And a lot of times I will have 3 signatures, so when you have another signature, you just glue that one on the same way. Okay? So this is where the first signature ends, and this is where the second one starts. And you can't even tell, except for when you're flipping through it. You can feel that it's a heavier page. Okay, so now what I do, it seems to be a little, what I do, because there's white showing on the edge, then I will just go around the edge and do a little inking. So you just can't really see that white. Or you can trim it off if you want, but I didn't want to mess up my pages, so there you go. That's how I bind my journals most of the time now. So now you're going to have, it's going to look like this on the edge, okay? And so then what you want to do is pick out your cover that you want to put on the front, and you're only going to cover the front, and then you're going to turn it over and you're going to cover the back. It's not going to go all the way over. And then what I do is take another piece and put over the edge. That's what we have so far, and it's supposed to look like that, okay? So when you open it up, no matter where you're opening it, look how flat it is. I think that's so awesome. It makes for much better writing surface, okay? This is a great way to bind your journals. I just love it. All right, that's part 1. Stay tuned. Okay, so now we're ready to decorate the cover. So what I've decided to do with this one, since there's a lot of roses in this, seems to be the theme of this one. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to use this pink cardstock, and it's cut to about 8 3/4 to 5 3/4. So it's going to hang out about 1/4 around each side. And I do that because, I mean, if this doesn't bother you, you could go ahead and just cut it the same size as this and glue it on to here, to the edge. But it kind of bothers me that some of these pages are sticking out, so that's why I make it come out about 1/4 inch. And I don't glue it all the way, almost all the way to the spine. I glue it. So what I'm going to do is put the glue on here. And I think what I'll do is put a piece of paper under here so I'm not getting glue on the pages underneath, because I'm famous for doing that sometimes. And I just go ahead and use this. This is good strong glue. And so for the cover, I just see getting messy. Okay, so I've already taken the paper and I have inked around the edges. So I'm just putting it on here about 1/4 inch over the top, 1/4 inch over the bottom, and get it sort of straighten on this side, and then it should be fine over here. Should be is the operative word. And once you get it on, if it's like hanging over too much, like this might be hanging over just a little bit too much, then you can go ahead and trim that off. Okay, so just go ahead and press that down really well. And what I forgot to do something. I think I can take this off. I was going to glue this to the back. And bring it around the front. Now you could cut this off. I could have cut this off even, but by folding it over, it makes a little nicer, neater edge. So see, then it's between, then that doesn't look so bad, I don't think, having it hang over so much. So you need to put a little more down here. Of course, it's going to ooze out if you get it too close to the edge, like I just did. Okay, and now for this part, I'm going to go ahead and put glue around in this area where it's not really going to seep through. And then I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to glue on this area where this part will go, because it's too tedious for me to glue, you know, all the little pieces. Okay. And just smooth it down. And you can just do whatever you want on the cover. You could just use colored or pattern cardstock, or, you know, whatever you want to do. And I did ink the edges of the doily to just kind of make it stand out a little bit. And you want to make sure before you start that your pages are facing the right direction. When you open it, this is the front. Okay. And then, so then I fussy cut out a big rose from Dear Julie Julie's Digitals. And we didn't have to use her digital on the front, but I think it's very pretty. And if I can find my art glitter glue, I'm going to use it to glue this down. I hope all of you guys are having a great day. I haven't done a video for a few days, and yesterday was Tuesday, and I kind of woke up with a kind of a sore throat, and I thought my throat was just draining. If I already said this, I apologize. It's been a while since I did the first part of this video. But today, it hadn't gone away, and my throat was still hurting. So everything I had planned to do today, except for one thing, I canceled. Because I didn't want to be around people and give other people this. I did have to go meet with a couple people this morning, but I had somebody else to lead my Bible study, and so there you go. All right, so for now, that's all I'm going to do on this cover. And then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing on the back. And I got some ink on here, but it doesn't matter because we're going to cover that up. And so we're going to do the same thing back here with this one. So it'll hang over about that far too on this one. So we'll go ahead and put the glue on here. Okay. It's going to be about 1/8 of an inch or so from the spine. And we want to kind of make sure that it's even with the front one. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Actually, it's up a little bit too far. One thing about this Fabri-Tac glue, it has a little wiggle room to play with, not like okay. Well, see, I'm looking. See how the top of the back one is taller than the one on the back, but down here it's about the same. So I might have to just trim off a tiny bit from that top. And I will do that off screen. But now that we have that on there, we want to make sure it's glued down there good and tight. So we'll just rub that on there. Okay. Since I ripped it off of there a couple times. Okay, so now we have the front and the back on. Now before, and I've got this, I have this piece of ribbon, and this is ribbon that I've used on a lot of my journals on the edge. So what I'm going to do on here is put this ribbon over the edge on both sides. Okay. So it'll come right to the edge of there. This side. You don't want it real tight, but you do kind of want it you don't want it real loose either. And this has got a right and the wrong side. This is the right side here. So I'm going to take like half of it, put on this side. Okay, just kind of rub that in. The Fabri-Tac, you know, really sets pretty easy. So then what I do is I kind of push this down. Like I said, you don't want to pull it really tight, but you want to bring it over. Okay, so about right to here is where I want to put my glue. I hope I'm in screen. It's about 3/4 of an inch over. Make sure that's covered well. You know, but before I do that, I do this so much. I can't believe I just did that. Okay, we're gonna have to take this off for a second. Okay, the struggle is real, people. I'm not bleeping out these mistakes because these are mistakes that we make, you know. So before I do that, well, I should have put it underneath here too, but I didn't do that. So, but I am going to put it under, I'm going to put it under the lace. Okay. Here's where the tweezers come in handy for me. Okay, and this is the seam binding I get from My Scrap Cabin shop. I love that shop. And she makes this really cool crinkled seam binding in all colors. And actually, I got this a little long. I think this is probably enough for 2, so I'm going to cut this off. Make sure they're about the same length. Okay. Okay, so now I've got this in here. Now I could put this lace on. I have to re-glue. I know none of you have struggled like this, and hope that you don't, but you know, sometimes it happens. It's okay. Like I said, if you're using the fabric tack, you've got a little time to regroup and take it off like I just did. Okay. And one thing I like about the fabric tack is you just rub on it till it comes up. Okay, so let's redo this. And you can put a little glue underneath your ribbon. Okay, and you pull that over and glue this side down. Okay, and so on the back, sometimes what I like to do is put something like this on here, except not upside down. It just kind of keeps the ribbon out like that. Now I didn't put this under the picture in the front, so I'm not sure that I want to do it here. Put a little more glue under there. Have to let that dry before I mess with it too much. And my glue is seeping. Now, does this ever happen to you guys with this fabric tack? See how it's bubbling up? I learned this from somebody. If you just open the lid and give it some air, it'll take that air bubble out of there. Okay, so there we have our basic cover. And then see how it opens. So flat. I love it. And there's where the two signatures are glued together, and it just seems seamless. So there you go. That's how I do most of my journals these days, because I love the way the journals open and they're flat. It makes for better writing, especially like if you want to make an art journal with a lot of pages in there where you can sketch or do watercoloring, stuff like that. You want a flat surface that you can work on. So now see, if I had remembered and done this correctly, I would have put this underneath this image, and that's usually what I do, so that this is hidden, but that's okay. All right, there's the video. It took me 2 videos I had to put together, but that's okay. Just let me know what you think. I hope you could understand it okay, and I made it clear enough what I was doing. I feel like I was kind of rambling sometimes, but and then I got interrupted and a lot of stuff going on in between. So I don't know if I'll even make sense of this video, but let me know what you think. And the next one I will be showing will be how to actually just sew like a single signature into a cover that way. Okay, so there it is. That's what it looks like. All right, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and your patience, and for watching. And please press that like button and leave me a comment. I will answer. All right, talk to you later. Bye.